All right, we are going to review the recent changes in home market performance for Hunt County, Kaufman County, Henderson County, and Navarro County of the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. This is east and south of Dallas, and some of those areas have been having very spotty performance lately. So let's see how they're doing in the last few months. So this particular graph, we have Hunt County in blue, Kaufman in red, Henderson green, and Navarro is in gray. And these are the prices and median sale prices for properties in those counties. This is for resale, 3 to 4 bedrooms, single family residential. Okay. So let's take a look. 2025 starts here. Everything up to here is previous years. 2025 stats start here. As you can see on prices, most counties in this batch started fairly kind of like muted. And then we're seeing improvement, great improvement from Henderson County. So Henderson County is trending up on prices. So is Kaufman County slightly, just so slightly. And then also another county trending up is Navarro. The one trending down right now is Hunt County. Hunt County reminds me, the performance of Hunt County, seriously, for some reason, it reminds me the performance of Johnson County. Like they're not in the same graph, but I'm seeing the similarities in their performance at least on prices so far. So the good news is that we're hoping that this upward trends for these counties will continue in May and June while most of the shoppers are shopping. And but overall, if you just step back and look at their best performance, which we've seen in 2022, and their performance now, I know there's been a lot of ups and downs with these counties, but one thing that really kind of keeps amazing me is that since 2022, they haven't really lost that much of a value compared to some other counties. Like I was looking for stats for Collin County. Collin County average home prices lost on average $100,000 in value. And in places like Henderson and Kaufman, I mean, we have long days on market and we have slow moving homes, but strangely enough, the prices are really holding up. They decreased only ever so slightly. Like in 2022, at the peak of 2022, like for example, Kaufman County was 366, and right now it is 312. It lost 50K. Well, actually, it is a little bit of a significant loss compared to the previous year. But nevertheless, it's not as dramatic as some other counties, like major counties. So that's on prices. We see that there's trends are up somewhere, some places higher, some places more muted, some places are slightly down, but we do not see anything like truly problematic. There's one thing that I really kind of like. There's a guy there. I forgot the name of his YouTube channel. He's super popular. I'll find his name. But every single post he posts is like, oh, the sky is falling. It's like it's falling. It's 100% falling. Everything is so bad. Foreclosures are rising. Sellers are screaming. And I'm like, I don't know where he's getting his data. My data kind of shows optimism. He writes a lot about Florida and Texas, is it like the market has completely crashed? I'm like, I don't know. My data doesn't show a complete crash. My data may not show like you know, a win like 2022, but it's definitely showing plenty of people being quite happy with their sales recently. Anyhow, so on the sell price, if you have any questions on sell prices for different zip codes, different counties, that are not shown here, neighborhood level, etc., just give me a yell and I will be glad to take a look. Let's now look at months of supply. Months of supply, those of you who are watching my videos know that I'm especially interested in months of supply because it shows me the absorption level of a particular market. So absorption level is almost like paper towel, right? Paper towel, when you initially put a drop of water on him, it absorbs everything, but then once you soak it really well in water, it's no longer absorbing anything. Things are just dripping off. Same thing is happening here. The absorption level of the market is how many buyers are available to absorb the inventory of homes. And this is the graph of months of supply. A good healthy amount of months of supply is 3. Anything above 3, we're now going into slow sales buyer's market. Anything above 4, we are in slow sales and buyer's market. Anything above 5, we are in a danger of not making money on our home sale. Anything above 6, we do not know what else to come up with to sell this home. Anything above 7 is we might just as well give the house for free in order to sell it. And anything above 8 is we're screwed. Like, how are we going to sell this home? Now, not every home, of course, every home is different, but I'm just saying that the months of supply, the higher the months of supply, the harder it is to just offload the property, period, at any price. So what we're seeing here that we're nowhere near balanced market. So three months of supply, the balanced market. We are nowhere balanced market anywhere. The best performing county in that regard is Hunt County at 6.9 at 7 months of inventory. The worst performing county is Henderson County. I cannot tell you how many texts, phone calls, emails I received saying lots available for sale in, Gun Barrel, lots available for sale in, let's just say, Tool or some other place like that near Cedar Creek Lake. And my kind of amusement is I don't know how many of those per day can hit the market. Like you're oversaturating an oversaturated oversaturating an already oversaturated area. Like this napkin or this paper towel has been dripping for a while and you're trying to throw more water at it, hoping that your water will stick. And unfortunately, that doesn't work that way. So my recommendation is based on this graph. If you are a home seller and that's where your home is, you have no other choice. Just understand that you're one of the worst counties to be a home seller right now. Henderson County, Kaufman County are some of the worst in North Texas, period. Hunt County, Navarro County, just as bad, just slightly less horrible. If you're a flipper and you have a choice of where to put your money, where to look for deals, where to pick up deals, stay away, in my personal opinion, from these 4 counties until the months of inventory starts to drop to maybe below 5 or below 5 for those ones. If they're above 5, just stay away. Now, not every zip code in these counts is performing at this level. Some zip codes are actually kicking butt, and some zip codes are just a complete nightmare to try to sell in. For that reason, my recommendation is just because something looks like a deal, 70%, ARV minus repairs is happening, doesn't mean it is a deal. It is a deal if you can move that sale after you flipped it. It's not a deal if you flipped it at 70% ARV minus repairs, but it's sitting for the next 9 months waiting to be sold. And you have to do 15 price cuts in order to attract the buyer. That's not a deal. So we're going to look at how to calculate your actual projected price or your actual projected sale price in a moment, but I'm just like seriously warning. If you pick up a deal in Henderson County, Navarro County, Kaufman County, and Hunt County, and you're having trouble offloading that flip later, do not complain. Do not blame the market. It's not the market. It was you. It was you who went into a very saturated market and threw some more water at the paper towel, hoping that your water is going to stink. So that's on these counties. Now, does it mean that there's absolutely no money to be made in these counties? No, it doesn't. But it means that you need to be buying at discount that's way, way beyond 70% ARV minus repairs, because you need to calculate multiple price reductions, as we will see in future, in the next few minutes. Okay, homes for sale. How much inventory is in these counties? What's interesting to me that Navarro County We're almost the same level of homes as we were in 2022. It's just the number of buyers have decreased significantly. While in, let's just say, Kaufman County, we started 2022 with, let's just say, 165 homes in the market. And right now we're at 1,000. 10 times. We have 10 times more homes with for sale signs in front of them now than we had in 2022. 10 times. That alone should tell you everything you need to know about buying a flip or buying a deal in Kaufman County. How you're going to compete with 10 times the number of desperate sellers than you had in 2022. Like what tricks are you going to use? A shinier backsplash, a prettier tile in the bathroom, or a prettier lighting fixture just not going to do it. It's no longer a solution. Prettier, shinier things are no longer a solution to selling the property quickly. At least not when you have that many home sellers desperate to sell. In Henderson and in Hunt County, we started with about 130, 110, 130, and we're now at 500. So 5 times the number of sellers than we had 3 years ago. Just 4 years, 3 years ago. Triple, five, we didn't quadruple. 5 times UPL. 5 times UPL, the number of unsold homes. How about demand? Did our demand increase 5 times from 2022? On the contrary, our demand is shrinking. We have shrinking demand. If in August of 2022, we had 237 closed sales, closed buyers in Kaufman County. Right now in 2023, in August at the same time, we have 169. That's half, about half the demand with 10 times the sellers. So you have half of the buyers, but 10 times the sellers. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, is a recipe for a big financial disaster if you are going into the transaction, into the flip with the mindset of 70% RV minus repairs is my golden ticket to flipping success. You see, there's one thing that I think is not stressed enough, neither by the hard money lenders nor by anybody else. 70% ARV minus repairs is the start of the formula, not the end of the formula. 70% ARV minus repairs should be your first calculation. And the second calculation that follows it would be how many sellers am I going to be competing with at the same ARV, at the same after repair value? Is it going to be two competing properties, 10, 20, 100? If I'm competing against 100 other flips, how am I going to win the buyers? Using what approach? If you don't have an idea and a plan for that, then hold off. Do not get started. Do not get into the deal. Now, I am actually going to give you a hint or kind of like an idea. Now, it works. It worked better in the past. It works a little bit not as good now with the crackdown on the immigration. A little bit on the immigration crackdown, because Hispanics used to be able to pull off some of the, closings that traditional buyers could not pull off. But now that's under stress. Now this entire demographic, this entire population, lots of Hispanics, as a result, you have fewer sales this year, even fewer sales this year than you would otherwise have. Why? Because many Hispanics are too afraid to return to their normal field of work. So therefore, they're not buying new homes necessarily this year. So on the, if you have to flip in this area, would you say this is the area where you flip? You only know how to flip in this area and that's it. And you only want to do deals in this area. Or maybe you're a homeowner who owns your own home. And of course you don't have a choice which area you're in at this point. If you have to sell in the next year with the data being the way that it is, try to do something that differentiates yourself from other homes that are flipped as well, or other homes for sale. And it's not by having shinier countertops or better light fixtures or, you know, prettier colored front door. Try to differentiate yourself on expanding the pool of buyers who can buy your property. How do you do that? Can speak for other realtors. When I list a property, I automatically put in the sign in the rider says all credits qualify. And I advertise the property heavily on owner financed and Hispanic driven groups in Facebook. Why? Because I know that it's a very under marketed or under considered category of buyers who are nevertheless there and could be triggered to purchase. So when you have a situation like you have right now, where you have 10 times or 5 times the homes, but half of the demand, you have to work on the demand side, on increasing demand, more than on the color of front door. Unless the demand is there, no matter what color you paint your walls or what tile you put into the bathrooms, you will end up with the same price cuts with the same problem. So increasing the demand should be your strategy. If you can work with an agent like me who has connections with private lenders and lenders who are portfolio lenders who will take on more difficult cases, and then advertise all credit qualifies as one of the differentiators between 110 other homes in the same zip code. And you, because out of 110 different homes, you and another one, maybe another one, will be the only ones offering all credit qualifies financing. That will bring the buyers to you first. They will come to you first. And only after they looked at your property and did not choose your property, only then they will go to competing properties. So you have the first dibs on the buyers who are actually typically pretty cash heavy and are serious to buy too. So the one way for those of you who either must flip because you either already in the deal or you don't know how to work outside of those areas, or if you're a homeowner, is to utilize an agent who has the ability to process buyers that traditional lenders reject. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is in the description below, but I specialize just in that. I specialize in selling properties using a higher pool of buyers. Rather than putting in better improvements, I increase the pool of buyers and outcompete other properties based on more people being able to purchase this property than nearby similar homes. Okay, I overtalked this. Let's move on to the next topic. But yes, if you are in these counties, talk to me. Feel free to talk to me. Even if you have an agent already, we can work together with your agent in order to figure out how to get more people qualified to purchase your home. Okay, now we're coming to a very sad topic of discussion called percentage of original price. So what does it actually mean? It means in order to sell your home, what kind of a lower offer should you be expecting or willing to accept to be in line with majority of homes in your area? So when you're putting a home for sale, you probably have like, let's just put it on for 350 or let's put it on for 450, whatever is the price in your mind. You have a price in your mind and you start advertising it there. And this graph shows you what should be the price reduction, expected price reductions that you need to keep in mind for you to actually attract an offer. If so, 100%, this 100% line means if you received an offer at 100% of your asking price or full price offer. Anything below 100% means you received an offer below your asking price. So typically, how much below the asking price do the homeowners receive and accept offers at in these counties? So in Navarro, you need to expect about 5% lower offer than your asking price. So if your asking price is 300, then you need to be expecting about 275. Sorry, 285. Henderson County, 4%. You need to be expecting 4% discount. Kaufman County, also 4%, give or take. And same with Hunt County. So in most counties, you need to expect an offer about 4%. So on a $310 house, that would be 12K below your asking price. And in Navarro County, it would be a full 5% below your asking price. So what does that mean in practical terms? When you are reviewing a deal and forget about the ARV that the wholesaler advertised, nobody should trust that figure to start with. But let's just say you run your numbers. You run your numbers, and let's just say your numbers suggest that the ARV of a fully flipped home for that area, for that specific house, is going to be 300. That's your first calculation. Just calculate, the ARV being 300 as ARV1. But then take that number and remove about 4% to 5%. I would remove 5% because on top of the price cut, you see right here, so that's just the price cut. That doesn't account for the holding costs and extra financing charges, right? So what I would do is from that ARV, I would take off anywhere between 5 and 6%. And that is the true ARV. That's your true ARV after holding costs and after price reduction. And say, does the deal still make sense? Or should I renegotiate the price with the wholesaler? Because if you're just taking ARV minus repairs, 70% ARV minus repairs, and then the formula that you're using, you are almost guaranteed to end up with way less profit than if you calculated and bake the ARV number 2, which means ARV number 1 minus 3%, minus 4%, or minus 5%. I would operate using the ARV number 2 rather than ARV number 1. I mean, to your lenders, you can show whatever ARV you want. To your hard money lender, you show ARV number 1 if you have to. But for yourself, in your own mind, you should be operating from the ARV number 2 standpoint and making sure that the deal still makes sense and that you don't over-improve. Last but not least, days in the market. We had beautiful 100 days in the market in Henderson County and only 2 months in the market in Hunt and let's just say Navarro County. But that was in January, and now we are blessed to be only at 1 month to 1 month and a half in most counties. We are between 35 and 42 days on the market on average before you receive an offer. So when you're putting a house in the market, let's just say in July, you probably should be targeting August, September before you receive an offer realistically, unless you're really playing a smart game, like 72 sold process plays. And if you do not know what 72 sold process is, look it up in the description. But yeah, unless you're playing a game similar to 72 sold selling process, you're probably going to be waiting for about months and a half before you receive an offer in these counties. Not in every zip code though. So let's separate the zip code performance versus the county performance, because the county performance is an aggregate of hundreds of zip codes sometimes. But each individual zip code, it's almost like an individual child in a group of children. Just because a group of children behaves that way doesn't mean that that individual child is behaving that way. It might be behaving worse, right? Hopefully not that, but maybe behaving better than the group. And then the last but not least, shows per listing. So in 2022, when we were at the peak of our demand, we were having anywhere between 5 and 10 buyers per listing, competing for listing, or just in general interested in listing. And in 2025, we are at anywhere between 1.3 to 3.5 per listing. So we lost about good half to more than 60% of the buyers who are actually walking the property. But we are at anywhere between 5 and 10 times higher in the number of offers that we're making to those decreased number of buyers. So the whole key to solving the problem in these counties is to, number one, use ARV number 2 for your calculations. And number 2, figure out how to increase the number of buyers from, let's just say, 2 to 22. How would you do that? And what would happen if you did that? To kind of work more on that than on the finishes, and you're more likely to be successful in your flipping adventure in that county, so at least for 2025. Okay, that was it. My name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I'm with Keller Williams Central. If you have questions or interest in certain counties, zip codes, neighborhoods, houses, etc., I'm really strong on data analytics, data processing, and I will be glad to run my analytics by your like on a property that you are trying to purchase. Also, just a reminder, even if you're not in these counties, be very, very careful with your ARVs. These days in 2025, do not trust your ARV number 1. Never trust your ARV number 1. Always look for ARV number 2 calculation. And then increase the number of buyers who are qualified for your property. And also use 72 sold method, which I'll just put in the description below, just might as well, to help to sell in these hard to sell areas, because without a good method, you're basically being trampled by the crowd who are running toward the same destination as you are. So you have to be stronger than the crowd. And how do you become stronger than the crowd? You're number 1, increase demand. Number 2, have a smarter system. Alrighty, I will not hold you any longer. And my name is Elena Garrett, and I'll see you at the next video.